Hi, I just want to give a shout out to Cynthia Beliveau and Matt Sayre for putting this together. It's rockin'. Okay. For those who don't know me, I just wanted to give a quick 1-minute background. Basically, I'm from California, and right out of college, I went into the corporate world for 10 years, mostly in tech companies. In 2002, before the USDA organic certification came out, I started a nonprofit organization, Organics, to promote organic agriculture, partially out of hobby, but really from my lifelong passion for the environment. In the end of 2006, I serendipitously found a benevolent angel investor who funded the early idea of Farms Reach, which until 2010 was a software platform for regional produce distribution. At that time, I thought I was set. It was kind of the golden opportunity of having an angel investor where I can merge my business background with my more kumbaya mission of my life of the earth. And it seemed like a dream come true. But actually, for those of you, some of you know, what happened to what we call internally as Farms Reach 1.0, things never really took off. Part of the reason didn't take long to discover because I luckily met a design thinking consultant at a dinner party in San Francisco, and he helped me put together a workshop of food supply chain stakeholders from across the country where we together came up with, discovered the systemic problems in regional food distribution. And the long story short is that it's really complicated. It was blatantly clear at that point that any sort of online marketplace or inventory management, it's nice to have, but it's really just the tip of the iceberg of the problem. And if you're interested, the whole white paper is downloadable from our site. Anyway, the other more large, I think, reason why Farms Reach 1.0 never took off, it took me a while to figure out, really from taking time off from working on the whole company. Basically, I spent the next year and a half hanging out in San Francisco with other entrepreneurs, consultants, and nonprofits who work in the change sector. So any sort of initiatives on improving the world in any way. Some of them were in the food space, but actually most of them weren't. And it was really fun hanging out with these really diverse, passionate, futurist thinking people. But it also showed me that there are some real emerging best practices as far as how we can make a big impact and faster, I should say, in our industry and across industries, and in the food, and as a nonprofit and for-profit or hybrid. And if you think about it, all of our work trying to improve the world, it's a hard task to take on, and I'd say we might as well make it as easy as possible by following what's been shown to be effective. So if we think about best practices for how to make the world happier, healthier, and green, it takes more than just hiring business consultants and having them advise nonprofits, and it takes more than just helping corporations and businesses to start donating to charity. We, meaning nonprofits and social enterprises and the incumbent kind of mega corporations, we all really need to think more holistically and systemically and strategically about how we're going to turn the tide of the existing system that's so damaging to us socially, economically, and environmentally. And personally, I don't think we have time to not speed things up. The world isn't really in good shape right now. We need to adopt some new processes and really make them the new normal, and soon. So I'm going to dive into kind of my personal list of 10 tips for the healthy food, healthy people, healthy earth movement. And as a disclaimer, none of these are rocket science or things you've never heard of ever. But I find that I see a lot of individuals and organizations and myself not putting these to practice. And I really do consider all 10 of these really a practice that we have to constantly or continually check in that we're staying on track. So first, take care of and listen to yourself. Self is really the core, and wherever you go, you're going to be there. So you're the common denominator in everything you do. And you're also the foundation for your whole system, whatever it may be, in your organization, your team, the industry, and ultimately the world. And about self, I'm talking about a few things. One is your passion, as in regularly checking in that what you're spending your time on really is what you're deeply passionate about. As an example, I got into sustainable ag in 2002 really out of passion for impacting people who are working directly with the earth and affecting the earth. But then I learned about, organic farmers' need for more money in their pocket, helping with distribution and so on. And so I found myself working on distribution solutions for organic farmers and smaller regional farmers. And then next thing you know, I have this angel investor and I'm working on software, again, building software for co-ops, food hubs, the 9 yards. And then all of a sudden, 8 years passed and I'm totally burnt out and I'm just wondering why I'm even doing this anymore. And a lot of food hubs makes me sick. And really, it was at this point of being totally burnt out, and dealing with what happened with Farms Reach 1.0, that I remembered that my true passion isn't really regional food systems per se. Really, I remembered that why I got into it was for the earth and for farmers and helping farmers be stewards of the earth and natural resources and to foster healthy, happy ecosystems. So if regional food distribution is the way to empower conscientious farmers, then I totally support it. But for me personally, it was a big wake-up call to realize that my work I was doing and busting my butt on was really 2 steps away from what I really cared about. So now Farms Reach 2.0, we're not calling that in public, I don't know, just today I'm calling it 2.0. It's focused 100% on farmers, helping them more easily connect with each other and share information, and more easily access capital, insurance, and inputs to improve their bottom line and be more environmentally sustainable. Another aspect of taking care of ourselves is taking the time to reflect and listen to our gut. I think in all of our work we do here, we all have grand visions, otherwise we wouldn't be here. And it can be hard work, and it can sometimes feel like a relentless uphill battle. And one method is to keep fighting and fighting and fighting and just keep working at it until it happens. And another method is really based on the premise that the right path actually shouldn't be this hard. In other words, sometimes these times of obstacles and issues in our face, they're really a great opportunity to check in with our gut and revisit what our brain is so locked on to fighting for. These moments of reflection help us unravel what the hard lock fight is we're fighting for and discover, or sometimes for me, remember why we even got into this and do we even want to keep fighting for it. The point is that sometimes, inevitably, especially for you folks, sometimes you're going to feel burnt and wondering why is it so hard, and use it as an opportunity to check in with yourself to make sure you're in it for the right reasons and you're really doing what you're truly deeply passionate about. If you're not, you're going to burn out, absolutely. And really, for all the work that we have to do to improve the world situation, we really need happy, vibrant people to do that. So the second thing is seeking out fundamental solutions. Kind of like in holistic integrative medicine, it's all about getting to the root cause of disease instead of just addressing the symptoms. Finding fundamental solutions in sustainable food systems is really about removing the problems and not just making the problems a little less bad. This diagram is based on Peter Senge's The Fifth Discipline, a best-selling book on systems thinking. But basically, it's about the problems we see in the industry. And it's natural and easy for us to want to address the symptoms. We come up with solutions that fix the symptoms, and we think that's great. And at first, it'll feel good and relieve some of the pressure. But really, inevitably, if we're not looking at the whole system and the fundamental solution to the problem, inevitably, these symptomatic solutions are going to have side effects of either creating new problems or feeding the fundamental problem even more. And there's a quote, when we stick to what we know best and apply familiar or textbook solutions, we find comfort in addressing the most surface-level symptom. Relying on familiar solutions, even while problems persist, indicates non-systemic thinking. As an example, and I don't mean to pick on all my urban gardener friends, but if we think about the major crises in the world today, especially environmentally, how much really, just as examples, like decimated rural community economies, loss of farmland, water pollution, dead zones in the ocean, and then obesity and diabetes, prevalence of crappy, low-nutrient food. You know, if we look at these serious crises right now, how much can more urban gardens all across the country really fix these serious issues? I mean, there are definitely times, like in the Bronx, food desert areas, and to connect consumers with nature and awareness about the issue. They definitely, or they make sense and are a priority. But if we're thinking about where we put our capital as a movement and where we put our energy, let's think really deeply about what solutions are going to solve the most serious, critical, debilitating issues right now. Okay. Third, think holistically about strategy. There's lots of examples of how we can put this kind of framework to our work. So I'm just going to show a couple examples. One is addressing food deserts. You know, there are lots of different components to a successful solution, and Bronx 6-year-old is, I think, doing a great job of it. And there are a lot of organizations that maybe take on one of these prongs passionately, and that's great. But it's obvious that if we address multiple prongs simultaneously, whether it's one organization or a bunch of organizations in a collaboration, it's going to have a higher chance for success and ultimately impact. This is another approach more around different disciplines. There's an American in the Netherlands, actually, who's taking this approach to solve the water problems there and creating a model that can be replicated elsewhere. And this kind of map can be used in a lot of ways. It can be used to think out of the box for finding partners or identifying funders in other sectors you're not aware of, or devising new policies. These are some of the prongs, not all, but of how to help smaller regional farms with their economic and environmental sustainability. And just to show how this kind of mapping exercise can be applied to a business model, this is just quickly Farms Reach 2.0, multi-pronged approach where we address a lot of these prongs here in our business model now, and we just soft launched this in Northern California this past month. The next one, prioritizing financial self-sustainability. If you could show me your hands, who here feels like they work really hard in what you're doing? I hope everybody. And who here feels like they're getting paid as much as, they're happy with what they're getting paid, they feel like they're getting paid as much as they should be getting for the amount of effort they're getting in? A little less? Wow. Okay. I was expecting nobody to raise their hands, but I think a lot of us are underpaid is the bottom line. It's because a lot of us are working at nonprofits and social enterprises. And I think that this goes back down, or it connects back with the self and the need for us all to realize and deep down know our value. Sure, we can look at the long term at how we can change the whole capital structure, why nonprofits aren't making as much, but for us now, I think all of us, nonprofits and for-profits, should think out of the box on how we can finance the work we're doing. Personally, I'd love to see more official contractual relationships between nonprofits and for-profits where money can be streamed back to the nonprofit, but also the for-profit can get a seed of what it's like to be a social enterprise and become more of one. I believe that doing good as these for-profit conventional businesses, when they see how good it feels and the impact they can have, it's contagious where they actually want to do more and more. And so really the future is not necessarily getting rid of the existing corporate structure, but rather helping them become more socially conscious businesses anyway. For the recent Farms Reach relaunch, we're actually putting this to practice where through a strategic partnership with a fuel company, farmers and actually any organization of any kind like yours can sign up and get automatic discounts for fuel at any gas station except ARCO. In return for each farm or organization signing up for this program, the fuel company is contributing money back to the farmer programs. So it's a win-win-win for everybody, and if you're interested, you can check out our site. 5, and I'll try to speed it up, tap into specialists. Again, back to self, it's about being honest with yourself about what you're good at and what you're not good at. And I'd urge you to look outside the community of specialists already working in the food industry. Some of FarmsReach's most working bang for the buck specialists have come from outside of the industry, where the fresh perspective and cross-sector experience have been incredibly valuable. And this shows just really quickly the kinds of specialists I see most needed in our industry: supply chain engineering and logistics for anything around food hubs or distribution, interaction design for anyone trying to make a website where you want people to actually use it regularly, experience design for convenings, conferences, workshops, scenario planning to put on our visionary futurist hats, and design thinking, which is wonderful for tapping into the collective intelligence of a group to unravel really complicated problems and coming up with creative solutions. Next, collaborate with, complement, and co-create with other organizations. On a strategic level, we need to know when it makes sense to collaborate versus complement each other. Like, on one hand, I think we're all about collaboration, where we want to work with others and expand the scope of our work and make a bigger impact. Okay. But on the other hand, sometimes it makes sense to contract our work and actually hone in our core competencies and do less as an organization, but be part of a multi-organizational, larger strategy. We also need to consider how many we should be collaborating with. I think instinctually we want to work with more and more people for perspective and buy-in, but a lot of times I see there are too many cooks in the kitchen, and it's a really slow process to make any progress. As far as whom to collaborate and co-create with, get outside of your comfort zone. Don't just collaborate with the same people over and over again because you know them and like them. After your amazing holistic strategy planning and tapping into experts, you should have some new ideas about who to seek out. And other industries are coming to the same conclusion. I was just at my sister's integrative med school graduation, and one of the lead researchers was talking about the same exact point. He said, the truly vexing public issues require a cross-disciplinary approach, and that the days of single grants for single projects and single teams are over. Let's take this to heart. 7, which I'm really passionate about. It's really simple. Organizations, you have to research who else is doing the work you're doing, or probably has already tried what you're doing, and learn from them or collaborate with them. We have to stop the rampant duplication of effort and reinventing of the wheel in our industry. It's wasting resources, both money and people power. And for funders and investors, I also beg of you, even if you're in a foundation where you don't care about return on investment necessarily, or even if you're a multimillionaire from Silicon Valley wanting to do good, you still also need to do your due diligence to make sure that the organizations you're looking to fund, A, are a fundamental solution or close, B, the best model, and C, the right team to be doing it. Our industry is tragically undercapitalized, and so let's put our money to the absolute best use. Oh wait, I'm not done. Okay. What? Okay. Okay, let's be more strategic with our PR and educating the media. We know how complex our industry is, so why do we think mainstream media is going to get it without our help? We need to be more strategic and effective in helping educate the journalists to cover what we're doing accurately and completely. Be open and direct and honest. Being open to basically a lot of people who've been working in the industry a while have developed opinions or judgments of various groups that have also been in existence for a while. And really, we're all changing, individuals, organizations, and our impacts. And so we should all, I would urge, stay open-minded, curious, and accepting of each other as we navigate the change as an industry and a movement. And as far as being direct and honest, I know you've probably heard of people telling you about their new projects or work, and in your mind you're thinking, I'm not sure if that would work, and you don't say anything. I would just love if we as a movement were more honest with each other and direct with constructive feedback, so for all of our benefit. And lastly, thanks for letting me go a little bit more, just keep checking in that you're following these principles It can be a balancing act to remember them at all times. And above all, circle back to yourself to live a balanced life, because I believe happy, balanced people make the best decisions. Thanks.